A new European adventure is upon us, ladies and gentlemen. Beşiktaş are back in the UEFA Europa League and hopefully for a long time to come. But if we want to reach those league stages of the Europa League, we'll have to get rid or get past rather one of our previous opponents in Europe last season's FC Lugano, who we faced of course in the Conference League. That went with varying success, and here to talk to us about Lugano once again, just like he did last season, is Oliver Zesiger, the sporting director at FC Biel in the Swiss second division. Oliver, thank you for joining us again, for being a recurring guest, and congratulations with your big win on the weekend against Samax in the Swiss Cup.
Thank you very much. Thanks for having me, and thanks for the congratulations. It was a great win.
I can definitely imagine it was. Samax is of course a club that many people might remember from the past. FC Biel is kind of the new kid on the block, at least for me personally. How is your season going so far? I saw you did pretty well in the season openers.
It's not really a new kid on the block. Biel is a club founded in 1896, but they went bankrupt like 8 years ago, and so they had to climb up the ranks from the 6th division back to the now 3rd division. And we were happy to play the Swiss Cup this season and eliminate Samax, which is a rival and a team that plays the second division above us. Season so far is good. We're unbeaten, including friendlies. We won a preseason tournament. We won the season opener, drew away, and then won again at home. So life's good so far.
Well, wishing you all the best in the season going forward, and hopefully you guys can vie for promotion to the top flight in Switzerland this season. Of course, we're here to talk about Lugano. We talked about Lugano already last season, so there'll be a couple of questions that maybe harken back to our previous interview. But let me start with this one. On Thursday, of course, on the 22nd of August, Beşiktaş will play away in Switzerland, and this match will be played at the Stockhorn Arena in Thun. Last season, you actually mentioned that Lugano are building a new stadium or renovating their old stadium. How far along are they with that, and what's the capacity of the Stockhorn Arena? What kind of crowd can we expect, you think?
So the Stockhorn Arena has a capacity of around 10k, and I think there will be a lot of Turkish fans at the arena. Lugano doesn't have many fans that travel. The thing is also the travel from Lugano to Thun is around 4.5 hours, which is quite long for Swiss standards, and I don't expect to have many fans there. Work on Lugano Stadium is coming along nicely. I think they will be finished either next summer or the winter after, so winter 25-26. And it still looks like a huge construction site. One side, the stand-up post to the main stand, is still not there, which is a bit strange in TV images. But in general, it comes along nicely. It will be a top stadium, I'm sure.
Yep. So, how is the Lugano squad compared to last season? Have they lost any key players, or would you say they've improved the squad in general?
So they did improve the squad in terms of depth, and they have now every position they have doubled. So they started this season out with Champions League qualifiers, and then in the league game right after they changed like 7 players, and they still won. So that's a new quality that we've seen from Lugano this season. One key player they've lost is Can Selar. He was Lugano's top scorer last season and went to QPR in the championship, but I'm sure they're still looking for a replacement. But as you all may or may not know, strikers in the market, especially goal scorers, are very sought after and come at the premium usually. So it's not that easy to find a good striker, and I think they will leave it up until closer to the deadline to find a replacement. But in general, I like this Lugano team better than last season's team, just because they have Now the young players, they're now playing the second season, and as I said, they doubled all their positions, and they're capable of switching 5, 6, 7 players without losing quality.
That's very impressive. They've been able to do that.
Didn't Chancellor score against us, by the way? I think he might have scored in the
I wouldn't be surprised, actually. I don't know. I didn't look up the match statistics, but I wouldn't be surprised if he scored against you.
We blocked that out. We don't try to
Didn't
recall that. First of all, Oliver, I'd like to personally thank you for coming on. Welcome you to the pod. But yeah, I obviously, since we're talking about Europe here, I'm curious. How would you characterize Lugano's performance against Partizan in these, in their two-legged tie that just recently concluded?
I unfortunately wasn't able to see much of these games, but from what I've heard, from what I've read, and from what I've seen, is that especially the match in Belgrade was very impressive from them. So they could have won even higher. At home, they were a bit lucky. I think that Partizan had the better chances, but in the end, they managed to sneak through.
Do you think that losing, I don't want to mispronounce his name, Albion Hadidari, right? Yeah, he got sent out. Is that going to be a big loss for them?
Yes, it is. Luckily for them, he will only miss the first game, but it is a big loss. He's undoubtedly a starting 11 player, a strong defender, a physical defender. And he was also already talked about when it comes to the national team. So he's one for the future for Switzerland, and he's one for the present for Lugano.
Yeah.
And
All right.
Oliver, what can you tell us about Matti Croci-Torti, the coach, of course, of Lugano? You already gave us a little bit of a lowdown last season, and you tipped him back then as a tactically strong coach. I think we got to witness that firsthand, and so did Fenerbahce earlier in the season already. But what can you really tell us about him? What type of football does he advocate playing, and what can Beşiktaş expect on Thursday in the away game? How do you expect Lugano to take to that game?
So I like Matti Croci-Torti a lot. He's a young manager. He's energetic. He doesn't hide, so which means that he doesn't just defend. He has a variability in his game, which means also he's strong in observing opponents and figuring out their weaknesses, and then setting up his team respectively. He is really one who has also a voice with the players because he's young. So he has a common voice with the players, and I think every player enjoys. Obviously, if you play more or less, that is a deciding factor as well. But almost every player enjoys playing for him. In terms of the game, I think at the first leg they will try to attack, although they will be cautious at the back. That's what they can do. They can do both at the same time, which is also the merit of Matti Croci-Torti. But I don't think they will go all out or all defending. I think they will have a well-balanced game and try to sneak away with a result.
Yeah, and we noticed that, of course, against Fenerbahce as well. They aren't afraid to take the game to the opponent. I was really impressed with how they played against Fenerbahce, especially in the first game, but also in the second game. They scored a wonder goal as well. Yeah, they really are a gutsy team.
Yes, and and that's also like the personality of the coach. He is bold, he's gutsy, he's one to try something, and even if it goes wrong, which surprisingly doesn't go wrong often, but even if it goes wrong, he will try again.
Yeah. So the next question is, like last season, it was a big question mark as to how Lugano could perform in the hostile environment that is Beşiktaş's stadium. They done very well. They got a surprise win, and also gained further experience against Fenerbahce in a similar kind of atmosphere. Do you think this could be a an advantage for them now that they're used to that kind of atmosphere and they've shown that they can thrive in it?
Yes, I think so. Lugano was able to keep most of their key players from last season. Most of them also played in Istanbul and played at Fenerbahce as well this season. And I think this is an advantage. And as I said, they have a lot of young players actually who played their first season on top flight level in Switzerland last season, and also may have played a part in that game in Istanbul. And I think that all these components make Lugano a more dangerous team this season, especially when it comes to playing in front of hostile crowds like yours.
Yeah. I guess I'm up next, guys. So this is sort of a complicated question. Lugano's coach made some comments that got some attention in Turkey recently. He said that, to quote, Fener are a much stronger team than Beşiktaş. And so I guess, first of all, looking at the results against Fener, they played quite well against a strong Fener side. Obviously, Fener got the wins in the end, but they were tightly contested affairs, right? I think Lugano will hang their hat on pretty good performances. Do you think they're going to come into our tie like with increased confidence based on that performance? Is there a chance? And I guess this is the second tier of the question. I'm curious if in Switzerland Fener has a much higher like reputation than Beşiktaş. Whoa, weird slip there. And so like, is there a chance that perhaps Beşiktaş could be underestimated? Given that I think Beşiktaş fans would say that we're probably playing better than Fener at the moment. So sorry, two-tier question. Are they coming in with increased confidence? And is there a chance of underestimating us?
It's a loaded question for sure.
Yeah, sorry.
I try to answer as well as I can. First off, Croci-Torti may have been misquoted. I don't know why he would say that, but yeah. So I think, from my experience, the biggest, most followed Istanbul team in Switzerland is Galatasaray, and then it's open. I have a very good friend who's a die-hard Beşiktaş fan. Hello, Aurelia. I think Khan knows him as well, if I'm not mistaken.
We all know him very well.
Okay,
actually,
okay.
Sinan actually met up with him just a couple of days ago, right, Sinan?
I took him out to tacos like three days ago. I'm gonna see him on Friday. He's coming back through New York.
Okay, very well. Yeah, it's funny how small the world is sometimes.
Indeed, yeah, that's cool.
It is a tough question to answer because I think that Beşiktaş doesn't have the name of a Fenerbahce here in Switzerland, or of a Galatasaray. I think from the big three, I think Beşiktaş is the least followed, at least from my perspective. I could be wrong, I don't know. So what makes a difference here is also everybody was looking forward to seeing Jose Mourinho in Thun. I think the name Jose Mourinho still rings brightly in Switzerland because he hasn't been here often, and I think people don't really know too well Beşiktaş in terms or compared to a Fenerbahce maybe. So this might be an advantage for Lugano, this might be a disadvantage. All I know is that I'm sure they will do their homework and they will obviously analyze all the games that Beşiktaş played this season. They may even have video from your preseason friendlies because everybody's connected with everybody in football. So they will be very well analyzed by the analytics department at Lugano. So I don't think that Lugano is over or underestimating Beşiktaş.
Nice. And yeah, sorry, I didn't mean to put you on the spot. I think we probably all expect to be considered, the third strongest, although some of our listeners are probably, gonna get, worked up about it. But no, yeah, that was why I asked. I assumed that perhaps, like we'd be only known by true football lovers, perhaps. You know, I mean, I don't know if we're a household name in Switzerland, right? Not yet. Not until we win the Europa League. Anyway,
Yes.
Sorry, Khan, you're up next.
Well, in my experience, Beşiktaş, Fenerbahçe, and Galatasaray are the three teams that everyone knows, like everyone who loves football, of course. But I think perhaps this has been taken a little bit out of context, you know, and it's something that Beşiktaş fans especially have latched onto. But what I think they have kind of failed to do is see it within the proper context, because you have to look at the current state of the team of Fenerbahçe coming off of a 99-point season, and then us with like, what was it, 50 points or something? Like we were almost 50 points behind Fenerbahçe last season. So I think in that regard, what Croci-Torti said is the Beşiktaş side he faced and the Fenerbahçe side he was about to face at the time obviously were miles and leagues apart, and I think we can all agree on that being correct. Obviously, Beşiktaş are a transformed team now, perhaps. Oliver, a big question for you as well. How important do you think it is for Lugano to reach the Europa League stages? Is it very important for them? Is it the main goal for them after missing out on the Champions League? Or do you think that they'll take solace with a Conference League spot?
Obviously, they want to reach the group stage at the Europa League, but in the end, if Beşiktaş proves to be too strong for Lugano, they will be happy to play the Conference League, because many people in Switzerland like the Conference League a lot. It has some really cool smaller teams in it. And I saw that the directors of Lugano and the club, they celebrated getting to a group stage when they eliminated Partizan. So that tells me that they would be fine also in playing in the Conference League. But obviously they want to win, because there's more money, there's bigger primes, bigger bonuses for the players, and more money for the club. So, and also bigger opponents, which then means also bigger attendances normally. So the goal is still going to the Europa League group stages. But if it's the Conference League in the end, I think they'd be happy to.
Lugano started, basically that was the implosion that happened within Beşiktaş after that 3-2 loss to Lugano last season. Maybe you don't know what happened after that, Oliver. Basically the fans in the stadium didn't leave. They demanded the board's resignation, and also the coach left. So really that result caused an implosion at Beşiktaş. I was just wondering if you think there could be another upset this season, or do you think it's not as likely this year?
I think there could be an upset, but I hope I can calm you down in saying that this won't start the downfall of Beşiktaş this season, and this hopefully won't start protests from the fans against the current board. I think Lugano is good enough to cause an upset, but they need to be almost perfect to do it. Yeah. And they've shown in these games so far that they had a strong start to the season, but they still, like the last league game, they lost 2-3 at home against FC Luzern, who is a mid-table side, while Lugano is more or less challenging for the title this season. And this still showed me that they're not as strong as maybe the first few games showed. So there is a chance that Lugano causes an upset, but I think that the overall favorite still is Beşiktaş.
Yeah.
You're up.
Yeah, sorry, I was just thinking if we had actually already talked about the key players of Lugano, or did I forget to add that question to our format? I think I might.
It was like an addendum to an earlier question. I think it might have been glazed over.
Yeah, we asked about the changes in the squad, right? But like you already highlighted him last season, Renato Stefan is clearly a very important player. He also assisted the equalizer against Partizan. He scored the first goal. So he was very instrumental in even getting to this stage of the Europa League. But who other than him? I saw Mahmoud, a player named Mahmoud, scored a couple of goals already this season. And who else would you highlight as key players for Lugano? Players that Beşiktaş should watch out for.
So you highlighted the most dangerous player already. Renato Steffen is one of the best players of the Swiss league, a current Swiss international and Euros participant. So he is crucial to their attacking. Another good player, as we already spoke about him, is Albion Haidari. Unfortunately for Lugano, he is suspended for the first match. And Usman Doumbia in midfield, he's like the motor and the brain of the game. So he stays back a lot, but he is able to distribute the ball or recover the ball and then move forward with the ball. So another very good player. And finally, it's Uran Bislimi, and number 8, number 10, it depends on the opponent where he plays, but a very good attacking-minded midfielder who can cause problems, who's also a Swiss international and someone who's still young and still has some potential to reach. The only thing that I worry for Lugano for the moment is the lack of really strong striker. I know Kasper Przybyłko, he has had a good start to the season, but I don't think that Lugano will go or that Lugano will finish the transfer window with him as a sole striking option. So I believe that Lugano will still sign a player, although this does not concern you, as the player is not signed yet. He cannot be registered for the tie. But I think in general that they will do something up front. Other than that, they have a very equal team with 2 or 3 standout players.
And how are the chances seen in Switzerland by the general public? How do they see Lugano's chances here to advance against Beşiktaş? Do you think that last season's win in Istanbul has given the general public some confidence?
I think so, yeah. Most of the people I spoke to, they were saying that if Lugano gets a good result in the first leg, then they can go to Istanbul with less pressure and maybe get a result there. And I think that last season's result in Istanbul helped a lot for this confidence. It is also that Lugano now has risen in status in Switzerland. Young boys for better part of the last 6-7 years were the dominating team, but now the Swiss public, they see a challenger in Lugano, because young boys, they had some challenges once Zurich won the title, then maybe Servette was close to winning a title, but they've never had a challenger where the Swiss public could say, this will be a fight to the end against young boys. Now with Lugano, it seems like there is that challenger.
Yeah, plus young boys missed their season start as well, so that's good news, I guess. Guys, sorry, go ahead.
What happened to FC Basel? Didn't Basel go on a... God, has it already... I'm already old enough now that decades kind of compressed. Didn't Basel go on a fairly impressive European run? What was this?
Didn't they win 7 titles in a row as well?
They won from 2009 to 2017. They won 8 league titles and several cups in a row. They qualified for round of the last 16 in the Champions League twice. And long story short, they had several changes in leadership, several owner changes, and this destabilized the club massively. It looks now that they've stabilized it again, and they have some good young players. They also signed, very recently, they signed Sherdan Shaqiri, a Basel boy who comes back, and it looks like they're on the upswing again, but it's Basel in the last few years. You never know where this will end.
Sorry, that was a bonus question. No, I guess that was even off subject enough, probably. But no, thank you so much. Let me just personally say, Oliver, thank you for giving us your time, and I'm sure our listeners will really appreciate your insight.
I think Carlos has a question though.
Yeah, I was just going to say from the outside looking in that Basel's kind of the big name from Switzerland that people think of for sure. So I was just going to agree with Sina.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, from my experience anyway.
Maybe in 10, 15 years it's gonna be FC Biel.
Yeah, maybe our kids will grow up with no idea who this Basel is.
Yeah, I'm working on this with FC Biel, but it's a long road.
Well, good luck for sure. Also,
Thanks.
Let that be official. That the podcast wishes you good luck.
Until we meet in Europe, of course.
That's right. That's right. Yeah, in a couple of years.
Biel Beşiktaş in like 3 or 4 years. Book it.
Yeah, imagine if that would happen. How cool would that be? Then we'd have to have you on for a 4th time.
Yeah, you could.
I think we would have to visit your stadium and
exactly. Yeah,
record live.
You'd be all invited to come to the stadium and do a whole series about the game. If that's the case, I do think it's slightly unrealistic, at least in the next 4 to 5 years.
Never know.
Well, good luck nonetheless. Nevertheless,
Definitely.
Good luck.
Thank you very much, Oliver, for joining us.
Believe.
And thank you
Thanks
very
for
much.
having me.
And thank you very much for watching this episode on Beşiktaş against Lugano in the UEFA Europa League qualifier playoffs. I should say the first leg is on the 22nd of August, that is this coming Thursday, and then of course the return leg in Istanbul is on the 29th of August when Beşiktaş will host Lugano. And this time around, let's hope we don't have another complete and utter collapse. Thanks everyone for joining, and thank you for watching. Bye bye.